Everyone, we're going to get going on the July 2019 meeting of the Colorado Water Conservation Board in beautiful Leadville, Colorado. My room at the Delaware was once occupied by Doc Holliday, so I'm feeling pretty rowdy this morning. We're going to start this off with the Pledge of Allegiance. So Director Anderson, would you mind leading us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Our first item is to review and approve the agenda. Are there any additions or changes to our agenda? Seeing none. Director Yon?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
It's been moved by Director Yon and seconded by Director Brown to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item 2 is review and approve the May 2019 board meeting minutes. Those were provided to us. Did anyone have any edits or changes to the minutes? Director Yon?
I move to approve the minutes of our May 15th and 16th, 2019 board meeting.
It's been moved by Director Yon and seconded by Director Brown to approve the May 2019 board meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3 is to approve or remove consent agenda items. Is there any discussion of the consent agenda? Okay. Director Yon?
I should let someone else move, but I will move to approve the consent agenda.
It's been moved by Director Yon and seconded by Director Schwartz to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, we have our board meeting dates for the remainder of 2019. So in September, we will be in the Rio Grande Basin, and in November, we will be in the Denver metro area. Are there any questions or discussion of those items? Great. We are on to item 5, which is the director's reports. We'll start with our DNR director, Director Gibbs.
Great. Thanks, Madam Chair, and great to see everyone. Welcome to Leadville. I live just right over the hill, so I feel like I can kind of say that. It was an easy commute for me. Everything's going quite well at the DNR. We're staying extremely busy. I will yield to Becky Mitchell to give the water updates, but I'll share with you some other items I think are worthy to share. We're working very closely with the U.S. Forest Service right now on a shared stewardship MOU. Really hope to have that completed within the next few weeks. Why this is significant in that it's really helped spell out how we work together and collaborate together. I think it was originally the intent from Secretary Perdue in Washington, D.C. was to really look at a model of how states work with U.S. Forest Service on producing board feet, if you will, really kind of supporting the timber industry, and also look through a lens of wildfire preparedness. But we really looked at this as an opportunity to have it be more reflective of Colorado, and we're not really necessarily a board feet state. We have some diversity in our forests, but in many cases, we have a lot of lodgepole pine, and the value is just not really there. So we're looking at ways that we can collaborate on water. So we reference the Colorado Water Plan. We're looking at ways that we can collaborate with trails. We're looking at ways that we can have same goals on diversity in the outdoors. And so I'm really excited about this. And and of course, it does have a lens of looking at, wildfire preparedness as well. But once this is assigned, we will be working with the U.S. Forest Service to do some really proactive modeling to look at, where fires have occurred, where people live, where critical watersheds are, and to put all of our resources in those areas, whether it's federal, state, private, or tribal lands, that we can all be kind of understanding what our shared values are, frankly, in the state of Colorado. So, so again, I hope to have some language complete in the next few weeks, and it's likely Secretary Perdue will come out and have a bill signing with the governor in the near future. So, also we are working very closely, monitoring and developing language and comments on the Uncompahgre Field Office Resource Management Plan. This is a particular area that impacts Montrose, Delta, San Miguel, Ouray, Gunnison, and Mesa counties. This kind of sets a blueprint in terms of what activities will be allowed in the future, in particular oil and gas. So we're looking through a lens of not only how the proposed new leases may impact water, but also wildlife. So we had a really great discussion actually with Secretary Bernhardt yesterday regarding this. So we hope to, we'll be weighing in on multiple fronts in the near future. On oil and gas, a couple of weeks ago, we kicked off the first rulemaking hearings as a result of Senate Bill 181 passing. There'll be a series of 11 different rulemakings, and we completed, well, we're soon to complete the 500 series for the rulemaking process, and that includes allowing administrative law judges to be a part of the process. We'll be looking at, to give you an idea of some other topics for rulemaking, we'll have a rulemaking on, local governments, because they'll be able to have a seat at the table. We'll have a rulemaking on cumulative impacts. We'll have a rulemaking on flow lines. And since the passage of Senate Bill 181, too, you can imagine with oil and gas, sometimes it's there's really no in between. There's extremes on all sides of the issue. Some people are, get the permits out as quickly as possible, drill baby drill, and the other side is, don't let a permit out until the rulemaking process is complete. So we are weaving that line to try to allow permits to be approved while looking through the lens of Senate Bill 181. So we have what's called the director's criteria that helps us get some permits out the door while the rulemaking process is still going on. So to give you an idea, since the signage of this bill on April 16th, the CWCB has issued 25 location assessment permits. Those are the 2As. And then the permits to drill, we've approved 287 of those. So we're still trying to get some out the door, but really look through a lens. It has to be consistent with the law that the legislature and the governor has signed. When it comes to staffing for the DNR right now, I hope to make an offer for our assistant director position later on today. That is for the wildlife and lands position. That has not, Madeline West, as many of you may know, that will be filling her position. We also have one more week that we're advertising nationally on a climate change specialist for the DNR that would obviously work very closely with CWCB. So hopefully, I haven't seen the queue yet for applicants, but hopefully we're seeing some good people come in for that. Madam Chair, I think that is it for me for right now.
Thank you, Director Gibbs. Director Schwartz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just return that. There we go. Just a couple of follow-up questions. Driving over Independence Pass this morning, it's unprecedented, the slide areas. And was that part of your conversation on are there going to be any treatment of those areas? Are they just going to be as is long-term? And also putting resources into our avalanche system in terms of predictions and guidelines. I think things are changing as a result of the snows and the climate and the timing of the snows. And then secondly, any comments on the BLM coming to Grand Junction?
Wow, okay. Well, let's see, where do I start? First of all, with the BLM, the governor has been very supportive of that move. I think everyone was a little surprised that, I mean, I think most people are expecting more people. But I think in part it's very, symbolic. And, especially the Grand Junction area, I believe, what was it, 26, I think, 25 or 26. The majority of the staff would be in the Lakewood office. But, the call yesterday was Secretary Bernhard. You still have a congressional step. There are a lot of folks. The chair of the Resources Committee in DC, Chairman Grijalva, has stated he is not supportive. There are other folks that are not supportive. So there's still some steps that need to be taken, but the governor has been very, very supportive of this, and we'll see how that shakes out, I guess. Yeah. With Avalanche, we saw just extraordinary, all angles of the state, huge kind of historic areas where Ethan Green, the director of Colorado Avalanche Information Center, he said there's areas where there's, literally 100-year cycles that they just have not seen avalanche activities like that. I spent a lot of time this spring in Lake City dealing with, potential flooding as a result of, you think it's bad there. It's like there's literally 28 different avalanche slides that went down into the creek. And not only as a result of that, but the need of recognizing that, there's 80,000 new people moving to the state a year. A lot of folks are going right to REI or their favorite ski shop and buying their backcountry equipment, without avalanche transceivers or shovels, not really having a clue on impacts and avalanche possibilities. Part of my DNR budget request is to increase CIC staffing. You look at other states that are very similar to Colorado, we're covering 5 times more with less. So I think it's very appropriate. I'm very hopeful that we can get some more FTE for that position. Actually, while I'm in Leadville, Ethan Green, the director of CAIC, lives in Leadville, and hoping to connect with him tomorrow. But today he's, they are doing some serious assessments, around the state of just looking at the slides that have occurred, looking at, working with CDOT, working with local communities to try to remove a lot of the fuel that is, just built up. So did I answer everything?
Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect.
Are there any other questions for Director Gibbs? Director Yon.
Thanks for the report. I was just curious. You said you approved 287 permits to drill. How many applications? Did you have a tick up in applications because of this law?
Oh my gosh. There's literally thousands that are in the queue right now, much more so than frankly, I think that department has ever seen. In part, I would say there was a lot of uncertainty, who is going to get elected as governor. If Governor Polis got elected, I think a lot of the industry were really concerned that he was going to really try to, stop oil and gas drilling. He has not told me to do that. He has been supportive of looking through a lens of higher, environmental protections, but allowing permits to continue. So we actually, during the legislative session, we had 24 additional FTEs that were approved to help with some of that backlog of not only the permitting side, but the environmental side. And, but yeah, it's thousands are in the queue. But I think literally everyone that had a potential 2A, I think the industry and folks are like, you better get that through the door. You better get that to COGCC or else, so I think it's just a lot of politics and uncertainty. But yeah, it's I don't know the exact number, but I want to say maybe I think there's about 5,000 that are in the queue right now. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Director Schwartz.
Yeah, I can see that.
Thank you. Just one quick
Yeah.
follow up on that. With regard to the GMUG resource plan, my understanding is the plan's pretty aggressive about new leasing in those areas. How are you going to interface, and how will this MOU and also the rulemaking address some of that permitting the federal permits that are being considered?
Well, at least with the resource management plan, I look at there's possibly 3 ways. A lot of people will be weighing in, people that like it, people that hate it, and so forth. we have an opportunity to file by next Friday, and that's a first step if you want to potentially litigate. So we're examining the possibility of doing that right now. Over the next few days, I may be calling up, county commissioners, town council members. As you know, Gail, for example, town council of Paonia would say, heck no. But when I call my friends in Mesa County commissioners, they'll say, hey, this looks like the greatest plan on earth. We love it. And so that's part of the balancing act that I'm going to do research to understand where the big concerns are, where the areas where it may not be so problematic. The governor is really interested in hearing from local communities. And what does this mean to you in your backyard? So it's going to take some time to reach out to all those, impacted, towns and counties, but we're going to work aggressively to do that. So you have a file option for that. I anticipate the governor would probably have some calls with Secretary Bernhardt with some possible asks along the way. We don't know for sure. And then there's also what's called the consistency review process, and that's what's allowed under, FLPMA and NEPA that allows governors to weigh in on federal actions to see whether or not it's consistent with state law. So my guess is the governor will weigh in on, there's, Senate Bill 1261 that had very strict climate change measures within that, and how this resource management plan may fly in the face of that. My guess is he may weigh in on Senate Bill 181 and some of the goals for, oil and gas. How this resource management plan will not be consistent with that, and possibly water issues too. And recreation. So we're really doing a lot of research now. We have a lot of folks just understanding, looking at the map and seeing very site specific. What does this mean in this area? What does this mean in that area? So it's really gathering information right now, and then advising the governor along the way on how he should weigh in.
Thank you.
So, yep.
Director Hawkins?
Just as a follow-up to that, Director Gibbs, I think that this board, or some members may remember that this board weighed in on some of the wild and scenic suitability findings in that RMP, and the BLM did include some jurisdictional language that we asked for. So would there be coordination with this board if the governor is going to take any action related at least to that issue that we weighed in on?
Most definitely. And that'd go through Becky, and Becky would communicate with the board.
Yeah, I was really pleased to see the jurisdictional language in the plan.
And
So-
that would come, thank goodness, not next Friday, because the filing is very technical. It really looks at that was where that would come into play. And we have until it's the first week of September. I can't remember exactly what date it is, but it's the first week of September that we need to get a letter in. So, but yeah.
Well, great. Thanks. And I'll look forward to hearing about that.
All right. Any additional questions? Thank you, Director Gibbs. Director George?
Good morning, everybody. It's a genuine delight to be meeting here in Colorado Mountain College campus in Leadville. This is one of the early campuses for CMC, and it has really grown and is very, very pretty. So take some time to look around and appreciate. Colorado Mountain College has really become successful. It's winning awards, national awards, often for its mission and how it's fulfilling it in the high country really of Colorado. It is truly Colorado's mountain college. I have the honor of serving on the board of overseers for the system. So it gives me a chance to look in close and see the quality of education that's made available all through the communities where there are campuses, and probably in an area where without CMC there probably wouldn't be the range of opportunities, the types of courses anywhere nearby. And so it's a real Colorado education success story. So I think it always sends a nice message when CWCB meets at institutions of higher education, and I appreciate that. And so look around and learn more about CMC and enjoy what we have here. I guess I have to say something from a personal standpoint about Leadville. The Georges have been in Colorado a long time, but it started here, as it did for a lot of older families. But